Hello students, in our last lecture we studied about potential due to a point charge, and the formula for that potential due to point charge is given by V is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q upon R. So this was the formula for the potential due to charge Q. Now the potential is positive if the charge is positive, and the potential will be negative if the charge is negative. Now in this lecture we will obtain the formula for the potential due to an electric dipole. Now electric dipole means it is the system of two charges having equal magnitude and opposite polarity, means one is positive and the other is negative, and these two charges, they are separated by the distance twice of A. So this is nothing but an electric dipole. So now today we are going to obtain the potential due to a dipole. Also we know that the electric field is always from positive to negative, but dipole moment P is from negative to positive. You have to remember this also. So now consider this figure. A dipole is there along the y-axis. Its center is here, and we have selected a point P where we are going to find the potential. Now at point P, the potential is due to this positive charge also, as well as the potential at point P will be due to negative charge also, and so the resultant potential at point P will be the summation of the potential due to this positive charge and due to negative charge. So in the method of obtaining equation for the potential, we will first find the potential due to this positive charge, then due to negative charge, and then we will add these two. And already we know the potential due to single charge particle at any point P. Here one more thing in the figure is, this is an angle made by the dipole moment P with the position vector R, which shows the point P. See, this is the position vector R showing point P, and so the angle between this P and position vector R is theta. So now let us start simple mathematical steps. Here the potential at point P, V is equal to potential due to positive charge plus potential due to negative charge. Then next is potential due to positive charge is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q upon R1. Now here this R1 is nothing but it is a distance of point P from positive charge. Similarly, potential due to negative charge is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, once again Q upon distance R2. Here this charge is negative, so we have to put minus Q. Here it was positive, so we simply kept Q. This distance is R2. You can see this from the figure also. say this point P lies at distance r2 from this negative charge. Now here the common terms are 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught here, also 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught here, charge here also, and charge here also. So we will take this common, and so remained is 1 upon r1 in first term and 1 upon r2 in second term. This term is taken out common. Our next step is to take the LCM of this term, which is inside the bracket. So taking LCM, you will get this term. So V is equal to Q upon 4 pi epsilon naught, which is taken out common, that only, and here we have taken the LCM. Now let us give this equation number 1. Here we will take the condition that the distance r is very greater than a. So this is the condition. You can see it from the figure also, that if we will take this condition, then the distance r1 r2 will be nearly equal to r. Remember, nearly, or we can say approximately equal to r. Let us see figure also. You can see this figure in which this distance r1, this distance r2, and from the center of the dipole, this is the distance r. Actually we can see that these distances are not equal. The largest is r2 and the smallest distance is r1. But if we choose this point P at a very large distance, then compared to that distance of P from the center, this distance A of a dipole, consider A or twice of A, meaning is same only. So that distance A will be very small, or in other words we can say that the distance r is very greater than this distance A when P is taken very far away. So in that case, what will happen? This r1, r and r2 will be approximately equal. So here we have taken that condition. So taking this condition, we will also get the difference r2 minus r1. Why we are taking this difference? Because in this above equation 1 there is a term with that difference r2 minus r1. So from the figure, this r2 minus r1 will be equal to 2a cos theta. Now students, let me explain you that why this r2 minus r1 is equal to 2a cos theta. Let us see that figure once again. In this figure, concentrate about this triangle. We know that if we want to find the difference between this r1, which is the shortest distance, and distance r2, which is the largest distance, then from this point we have to take a perpendicular on this largest side. So when we take this perpendicular, we will find this much difference is nothing but the difference between the r2 and r1. You can easily make out from the figure. So in this triangle, this distance is twice of a. This distance is nothing but it is difference between these two distances r2 and r1, and it makes here angle 90. So this is a right angle triangle with this is a hypotenuse and this side as an adjacent side. One more thing, we have taken the condition as this point P far away from this dipole. So in that case, this angle theta and this angle will be nearly equal. Remember, only in the case if the point P is very far away, these two angles will be approximately equal. So here also we can say that this angle is theta, and in this triangle if we take cos theta, then it will be adjacent upon hypotenuse. So cos theta is equal to adjacent side is R2 minus R1 and hypotenuse is twice of A. And now bring this 2A from right side to left side. So it will become 2A cos theta, which is equal to R2 minus R1. I hope you will be able to understand this. So I have written the same thing here, that R2 minus R1 is 2A cos theta. Now using this condition 2 in equation number 1, in place of R2 minus R1 we will use 2A cos theta. And what is R1? So that is R only. What is R2? That is also R. So R into R will be R square. So we have used the conditions here, and next will be, this is as it is, but here that R2 minus R1 become 2A cos theta, and R1 into R2 is nothing but R square. Next step, once again quite simple. Now here in this term you can see there is twice of A and there is Q. So if you multiply this to 2AQ, that is equal to P only, a dipole moment. So in place of this 2AQ we'll put P, rest of the things as it is. So we'll get this equation. Let us give this equation number 3. Now in this equation P is a vector quantity. Even this distance R is also vector quantity, and there is a cos theta. So here we can say that whenever there is a cos theta, and if it is a product of two vectors, then definitely that must be a dot product, because the result of this is a scalar quantity V, which is potential. So it is a dot product of P and R. So in place of P cos theta, we can write this P cos theta as a dot product of vector P and unit vector R. Here this unit vector R is along the direction of vector R. So now replacing P cos theta as vector P dot unit vector R, we get the next step, which is the general equation of potential due to an electric dipole. But remember, this equation is used only in the case when this distance R is very greater than A. Now, as this equation is used for this condition holds very good for a point dipole. Point dipole means, in a point dipole, the positive charge and a negative charge, they are quite close to each other. They are very much close, so that it seems to be a point. And if we take any point other than the dipole, then that distance r from the center of this point dipole will be very large, and so this equation holds very good for point dipole. Now some special case. This special case is for the potential of this electric dipole on the axis as well as on the equator. Now on the axis the potential will be, now let us consider the axis of our dipole. You can see that this is a dipole and this line is the axis. So rather than selecting point P here, if we select this point P on the axis, then what will happen? The angle made by this vector r, which shows point P, and the direction of dipole moment P, they are in same direction. Earlier it was here, the point was here, and so this vector r was making an angle theta with the direction of dipole moment. But if we move this point P from here to here, that is on the axis, then this angle will become 0 on the same line. You can see this is r and this is P, they are in same line, so angle theta will be 0. And if the angle theta is 0, then cos theta is equal to 1. Cos theta, theta is 0, so cos 0 is equal to 1. So here also, for the potential on the axis of a dipole, so in this equation 3, putting cos theta is equal to 1, we get V is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught P upon R square. So that is nothing but the equation of potential on the axis of a dipole. Now let us see for the equator. Now again in this figure, if we'll select this point P on the equator, you can see that this is the equator, this was axis, and this is equator. So at present this vector r makes an angle theta, but if I bring this point P on the equator, then this angle will increase, and at this point it will become 90 degree. So whenever we select any point on the equator, angle theta will be 90, and so cos 90 is equal to 0. So if we'll put cos 90 equal to 0 in this equation number 3, then this 0 into anything will be 0, and hence finally we can say that if we select any point on the equator of a dipole, then the potential will be 0. Students, the mathematical explanation or the mathematical steps given in your textbook for this theory is little different. You can see the mathematical steps here are like this, but the steps which I have shown you is quite easy to understand. Now students, the potential due to a point charge is inversely proportional to r, while the potential due to an electric dipole is inversely proportional to r square. You can see from the formula also. Here the potential due to a dipole is inversely proportional to r square, but the potential due to a single point charge, in its formula you can see it is simply proportional to inversely proportional to r. This is for a point charge. So in MCQ this can be asked. Next is about potential due to system of charges. It is understood only. I have explained earlier also this type of concept, that if there are many charges in this way, suppose the charge q1 is here, then charge q2 is here, q3, q4 and q5 and so on. There can be many charges. So if there is a discrete distribution of charges in this way, and if we want to find the potential at this point due to this system of charges, then what we will do, we will individually find the potential due to first charge, then we will find the potential due to this second charge, then potential due to third charge and so on for the other charges. And then after finding the individual potentials, we will add them according to principle of superposition, and so we can get the resultant potential at point P due to such system of charges. Now important thing, that for a spherical shell, if there is a spherical shell on which the charges are distributed, it is a surface distribution of charge. So in such type of case, if we'll select any point here from the center of this spherical shell at distance r, then potential at this point is given by this equation. It is simply like that of a point charge, because when these charges are on the sphere, we can imagine the total charge to be concentrated at the center. Suppose the total charge is concentrated at the center, then from the center the distance is r. So in that case, it is the formula similar to or exact same as that of the potential due to a point charge. If we'll bring this point on the surface, then also the same thing, the distance will be radius of the sphere. So in that case also we can take the formula this only, but in place of this small r we will put this as capital R, that is radius. So formula is not different when the distance r is greater than or equal to capital R. But now if we select any point inside this spherical shell on which charges are deposited, so this is the radius r, and now if I select any point P here inside the spherical shell, then what will be the potential? The potential inside the spherical shell will be same as that the potential on the surface. Now you will wonder that why the potential is similar to that the potential on the surface. It is because according to definition of potential, we have to bring a unit positive charge from infinity to a given point. So in that process, when we move that unit charge from infinity to the surface, the work is required to be done on that unit charge, and so that work done is stored in the form of potential. For a unit charge we use the word potential, and for a charge, any other charge, not a unit charge, we'll say that it is a potential energy. But here it is a unit positive charge, so we are using the word potential. So till here, when we bring that unit charge, the work is required to be done, and so there is a potential. but when we move that charge particle inside the spherical shell, then work is not required to be done. From surface to this point, the work is not needed. It is because inside the shell, electric field at any point inside the shell is 0, and so no extra work is required to be done. But from infinity to this point, the work is needed, so that potential is conserved. Outside there is an electric field due to this shell, so due to that electric field, the work is needed to bring. But inside the shell, there is no electric field, and so no extra work is needed. And so the same potential which is on the surface is there even inside the spherical shell. So the formula is this, which is exactly equal to the potential on the surface of a spherical shell.